For those of you who want to be a badass spy in a stealth game, well, guess what? Ubisoft has just released the next installment in the Splinter Cell franchise, Blacklist. Will this game live up to all the anticipation built up around it, or is it going to get caught in the spotlight and shot down by a merc? Well, let's find out.
I've located Coben.
Is he alive?
For now.
Immediately, as this game started, the first thing that stood out to me was the incredible voice acting. My first thought was, why is this not a movie yet? It was so good. Sam Fisher actually had a new voice actor playing him this time around, and I will admit, I didn't care too much. He was played perfectly and it worked. But it wasn't just Fisher who was blowing me away. You had the rest of your team that had great dialogue written for them and perfectly executed. Now, story-wise, I was again just as entertained. I made sure to speak to everyone during the downtime just to get more of the story. The plot is simple yet exciting. There's a terrorist group called the Engineers, and they just want to get all the troops out of other countries. And until they do that, they will make large-scale attacks on the US targeting different needs. For example, food, supplies, and oil resources. And it's your job to fly around and foil their plans. First major difference with this game versus its predecessor, Conviction, is that you have a home base between missions, which is actually a giant-ass plane that acts as a mobile command center. Here, you can upgrade your weapons, gadgets, and gear. Along with this, it also has an upgrade feature that you can add to the plane itself, which will help you unlock new weapons and mechanics, like a radar that you can use in-game, or even help you restore health faster in single-player or the multiplayer modes. Another difference that I saw in this game was that the interrogations were taken out. In Conviction, you can utilize your entire environment to find new ways to torture your victims and get the info that you needed from them. Here, the only real choices you get to make are if you want to allow someone to live afterwards or just end their life right there. Still badass, but I really like that feature from the last game. Now, control is everything in a stealth game, and this game didn't disappoint there. Getting to cover was simple, and you never accidentally popped out of cover because of faulty mechanics. You could even dash from cover to cover to sneak up on your prey faster. In this game, you knew if you were in full stealth mode if the lights on your suit were lit up, which I found kind of odd actually. If I'm completely hidden right now, why is my suit lighting up even brighter? Seems a little backwards, but what are you going to do? The level layout I thought was also very interesting in Blacklist. I would say that the first half of this game, it felt like the levels were much more open than in past titles. Whether you were in the backyard of a giant mansion or storming a military camp, it was much easier to get caught. But then in the second part of the game, it started to narrow it up when you were in more buildings and you can just hide in the shadows and corners. Now, while you're sneaking around, you can choose to fight one of three ways. One is an all-out balls-to-the-wall, guns and ammo everywhere. Or there's my favorite mode where you can actually stalk your enemies, then kill them. So maybe throw a gadget to throw them off and then sneak in and slice their throat. Then there's Ghost, where you sneak around and not get noticed by anyone. This, in fact, is actually worth more points than the other two modes. Now, each way progressing through a stage will get you points like I just said, and these are allowed to upgrade your gear, your guns, and your gadgets. Now, these points will also be used for your multiplayer modes as well, where you can build your own classes. Now, speaking of multiplayer, you had your co-op mode, and of course, Spies vs. Mercs is back. Now, let's look at co-op first. Each of your other teammates have co-op missions that you can go on. Now, nothing is more fun than communicating with your friend and pulling off a dual execution. It's very rewarding, but also kind of funny that you can play these co-op modes by yourself. So, just in case you're antisocial, you're not going to be missing out anything here. Then, finally, the multiplayer Spies vs. Mercs. There's a few different modes you can play, but you can't unlock them until you've actually leveled up a few times, which I did not like at all. If I want to go in and just start with some deathmatch, I should have that option. So I'll be honest, I didn't get a chance to play many of those other modes because I didn't have time to unlock them. But what I did play was the classic Spies vs. Mercs, and I was entertained. Now, Spies play in third person, trying to hack these terminals where Mercs are stuck in a first person mode, hunting them down. Now, speaking of FPS mode, there were a few moments when you played as a secondary character in the main story and you're stuck in a first-person shot. Now, I didn't like that at all because it wasn't needed in the story and it just makes being stealthy very difficult. But hey, that only happened a few times, not too much of a big deal. Splinter Cell Blacklist was a fun game and a great experience. What I liked most is that even though I was playing on normal, it was still very easy to get caught, and only a few shots from the enemies would get you killed and you had to start way back at the checkpoint. Now, this is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. With all the positives and the few things that I didn't like about the game, I give Blacklist a great 8.75 out of 10. It was a lot of fun and a must-play if you like stealth games. So there's my opinion and my review on this game. So with that, I'll see you guys again soon.